But we're gonna reveal the results of our personality tests to you guys. You might be surprised. Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. You're watching the Green Dream Project. Jim here.
And Jessica.
And we got Crew with us today. You can't see him, but he's right down here. But today we got a very special thing. We're going to talk about something very cool. What are we talking about? Homesteading for your personality types. There are different personality types out there. There's an online test you can take, right?
Yeah, we recently took one of these. It's not like those, you know, BuzzFeed type. Like, what kind of Disney princess are you? Or
Yeah.
although those are fun too. We've done those.
I think I'm a Jasmine.
We tried one. It's based on what's called the Myers-Briggs, which is a popular personality assessment, and it seemed pretty accurate.
Although you were like, what, 1% of the population personality-wise? She's in the top 1%. She's one of those 1%ers. When they talk about the 1%ers, that's her.
But we've gotten different comments from people talking about our personalities and like how they like to see us interacting, and it seems like we have very different personalities. But we're gonna reveal the results of our personality tests to you guys. You might be surprised. Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
And we wanted to talk about why it might be helpful to think about personality and get some insight into your own personality when considering your homesteading journey and how that might be helpful.
When we were going over these personality types, I could definitely see how this is something you may want to consider about yourself. And if you're already homesteading, how it can benefit you. Maybe there's different things you can change up or just things to be aware of. And definitely if you're about to be starting homesteading, these are definitely something you want to consider before going into it. It can just maybe make that process just a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to keep in mind that personality is really just one of the factors that's going to, you know, influence your life. There's environmental factors and, I mean, just your individual goals and experiences, a lot of things kind of coming together. But I think it can be helpful to consider personality as a way to give you insight and lead to some kind of personal growth.
As if there's not enough things to consider already when starting a homestead. We're going to throw something else at you.
When taking these personality tests, I don't feel like that has to limit you, right? It's just a way to recognize certain kind of traits or patterns and behavior that a lot of people have and understand that better, help understand yourself. But, you know, you don't have to feel like this is how I am now and this is the only way I can behave or whatever.
Yeah, don't let it lock you in. It's just, yeah, exactly, just a way of understanding that patterns and how you can either use it to benefit or maybe even things to be aware of to avoid pitfalls.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're going to talk about like 4 main categories of personalities, and within each of these categories there's different personality types. I don't think we have time to cover all of that, but
we don't want to keep you here for a couple days. Or we could live stream it just for hours and just go over it.
For 72 hours.
72-hour live stream. Who's down? I bet you by the end of a 72-hour live stream, we'll probably say some pretty wild stuff. By the end of that, who knows what'll happen at the end of that.
We'll have gone insane with time.
Underwear on our heads, playing kazoos, you don't even know. Anyone here remember the Great Kazoo? If you remember the Great Kazoo, leave that down in the comments section. I want to hear if you remember that.
I don't remember that.
You don't know the Great Kazoo?
I don't think so.
Oh, please leave that down there. Let her know what that is. I definitely know one of our viewers knows. You know who you are.
Let's talk about the first category, and that's what's called Analysts. Now, analysts tend to be very intellectual, very rational people, strategic thinkers, but also they can be very imaginative. There's a potential for these people to have very brilliant minds, really good at creative problem solving, a lot of ingenuity, and focus on a lot of self-improvement. They're probably reading a lot of books and things. But some pitfalls they might have are, if they're not really focused, they could get overwhelmed, kind of get scattered. They might become a little too intellectual and not driven enough to get like real world results.
All about the theory and not enough about the practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a really great personality type for homesteading. Definitely the ability to plan and intellectualize these concepts and really get things down is super essential for this kind of lifestyle. Just the pitfall of that with being a little too analytical is I think you can fall into analysis paralysis very easily. So
getting stuck in that thinking stage and not actually putting that into motion.
Exactly, and well, like I said, I mean, just being able to really fully understand all those concepts that you're putting together and formulate plans to put things in action are great, but you also have to be able to leap into that action.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to do that without, having every detail of information at hand. Sometimes you just gotta take care of a problem. You gotta solve a problem, and you don't have time to do a lot of research or something.
And that can be a very difficult thing, but it's just something to be aware of.
The second category we're going to talk about are diplomats. Diplomats are usually very creative people. They're very empathetic. They like creating deep bonds between people. They can be very generous, and they can be very insightful into other people or situations because they like getting deep down into like the heart of the matter. So I guess those are some positive things, but a diplomat might become overwhelmed, or they might overextend themselves if they're focusing too much on one area. Like maybe they're too generous and they're having financial problems, or they're giving too much of themselves to where emotionally they become kind of frazzled, or they could be emotionally sensitive and get hurt easily that way.
Yeah, I think this is another great personality type for homesteading. Being able to build community, work with others, sharing, like whatever you produce or whatnot, sharing that, giving information to others. It can only make people stronger. The downside of this personality type, though, is just these people might end up, giving too much, getting burnt out, not focusing on some of the things that need to be done right there at the time.
Yeah, immediacy, or taking care of yourself if you're working on other people's problems.
Sometimes you gotta take care of your own issues before you can start helping, really help with people with others.
You want to get too sucked into other people's drama, kind of thing. All right, the third type is what's called Sentinels. And these people are usually very cooperative. They like teamwork. They can be very self-motivated and effective leaders. And they tend to be very practical as well. Some possible negatives are they might get into a place where they're a little inflexible, maybe closed-minded, and they might have some trouble with like non-conformity, things that don't stick to a particular set of rules or hierarchy.
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. Yeah, sorry, these are not the mutant killing robots.
I think you're the only one thinking it.
Oh. Sentinels, what? Where? All right. But I think this is possibly a very powerful personality to have for homesteading. And then again, it could be one of the hardest.
Yeah.
Because absolutely in homesteading, you need to be task-oriented. You need to be able to have some self-motivated, someone that gets in there and gets things done. Someone that can maybe even help lead others into organizing people for these tasks.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the rigid thinking. And sometimes homesteading really isn't the norm. It goes against the grain.
Right.
So
on the one hand, like, it's good to have a plan and be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stick to the plan. This is what you're gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. That's great, but you know, sometimes things come up and you gotta be adaptable.
Yeah, I mean, anyone doing this kind of lifestyle knows that. So rarely do things go as planned, right?
Right. And the whole lifestyle is a little bit non-conformist. It's, you know, non-conventional.
At least in this day and age.
Right.
But exactly, like, what this personality, it might be tough for this personality type to even think about getting into this type of lifestyle.
Okay, let's talk about the last role here. That is explorers. And explorers tend to be very enthusiastic. These are very adaptable people. They're looking for new and exciting things. They can have a lot of ingenuity and quick thinking. They might have a problem with sticking with their obligations, you know, especially if something new and exciting comes along. They might have a lot of unfinished business because of that. They could even be pushed towards certain risky endeavors or behaviors, and they might have a challenge sticking with a certain goal if the reward for that goal is, you know, distant or it's not particularly exciting for them.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most dangerous personality types for getting into homesteading, for sure. Not that they can't. I mean, for sure that the ingenuity, the enthusiasm, all that is super important. But the problem with this type of lifestyle is that the rewards are not usually there right away. There's not that instant gratification.
Right. It's the long game.
It's the long game. People that are easily distracted, people that are always onto something new.
That might be difficult.
It might be a difficult lifestyle for them.
And, you know, there's a lot of kind of mundane day-to-day tasks that are going to get old if, you know, you don't have that focus. But, you know, if you can channel that energy and that ingenuity into those tasks and stay excited about what you're doing, that would be, you know, pretty powerful.
Exactly. It's not like you can't do it. It's just that you got to be aware of that you might have those tendencies. And
yeah, and learn how to, you know, focus your energy in the right way. Like we were saying with the last thing, it's good to be adaptable too, and that's comes more easily for these personality types.
Definitely adaptable.
Yeah.
Cruise at home in the dirt.
Flying in your shade.
Oh yeah, he is. He's like perfectly along the shade line.
Do any of these personality types sound familiar to you? Do you resonate with any of those?
Yeah, definitely. If you think you have an idea of like how you fit into those categories, let us know. Put that down there.
Yeah.
As well as the Great Kazoo.
And do you have any guesses about what our personality types are?
Are we gonna tell them?
Oh, we should tell them.
Okay. You can guess, but guess right now because we're about to tell you.
Jim here is in the Diplomat group. And I am also in the Diplomat group.
We're diplomats.
Yeah. But we're different types. So like I was saying, there's different types within those categories. And do you remember what you were?
Not anymore, I don't.
You were a mediator.
Yep.
And I am an advocate. So slightly different, but in the same category.
We're going to leave a link to that personality test that we took down below.
Just so you know more like what we're talking about.
So you can definitely take that, or, you know, if you find another one that you prefer.
Yeah, there's lots of them.
All right, thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. If you enjoyed talking about personality types and how that all fits together on homesteading, definitely give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because we'd love to see you around. Leave a comment, even if it's just to say hi. We love having you here, and we love knowing that you stopped by. We really appreciate it. Share this with a friend or two because they want to know a little bit more about homesteading.
And don't forget, you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll catch you on the next video. Bye. Crudo.